Hey guys, I'm just going to continue with the basics of layering. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document. So to create a new document in Photoshop, you just go Command N to create a new document, which is pretty standard, I think, in a lot of applications. If you can't remember, you don't like shortcuts, you can go File, New, and I'm just going to leave it to the default, so A4, 300 pixels per inch, and RGB on a white background. As soon as I click OK, this is what we've got. Just on a side note, if you know anything about layers, this is a very super basic video. We're just going to learn how to create a new layer, and how to delete a layer, and how to create a few folders. Now the first thing we've got is, I'm just going to focus on the layers palette for a second here at the top, and you can see that it's got, if you're using CS6, this is new to CS6, this top section here that says kind, has got a few little icons and a little toggle that you can turn it on and off, that it's started with CS6, and that's just to filter and layers, so things get easier to find, to manipulate, and so on. Later on we're going to talk about these. Then we've got this part which is called the blending mode, and how to control opacities and fills, how to lock certain things of your layers, and most importantly, your first layer. By default, every time you create a new document in Photoshop, you're going to have background, it's going to have a little lock, and it's going to have an eye. Now the first thing I'm going to show you is, because this is locked, if you were going to try to move it, it's not going to let you. So what I'm going to do is, how to unlock this, you just double click on it. Now Photoshop is going to ask you to rename that, so I'm just going to call this background as well. Just going to use a little bit of an abbreviation. You can see that it says new layer, but in reality, as soon as I go OK, it's actually changing the name. And notice how, as soon as you click there, all these little things get activated, so they stop being grayed out, and the little lock icon's gone. Also, if you look at the little thumbnail, we've got some target, so it's saying this area is highlighted, and that's going to make more sense later on. And we've got a little eye, so the eye is going to allow you to toggle between on and off. So you can see that when I turn it off, we see the checkboard. As we mentioned before, that means transparency. In other words, there's nothing on that. And when I turn it on, we can see the white fill. Now down the bottom, we've got a few things. We've got FX, which turns out to be obviously to have effects. Later we're going to call it, they call here layer styles, but if you think about adding effects to your layer, that's fine as well. We've got a little bit of masking, adjustment layers, folders, new, and the bin. So this icon is very standard. When you click on it, I'm just going to drag that up a little so we get more real estate on this screen. So when you click the new icon, it creates a new. When you click the new icon, it creates a new layer with a little checkboard transparent, which means pretty much that you can draw anything in there, because at the moment there's nothing there. One of the most important things, I believe, is to keep elements organized. So if you want to rename a layer, you just need to double click it, and I'm going to call it paint. I'm going to paint there something, and I'm going to zoom out. For the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to use a brush that I have here. So I'm going to go to my brush tool, which is this. Shortcut would be B. And I'm making sure that I'm in the right layer. I'm just going to draw a little bit of a splatter there. That's what I've done. Nothing fancy pants. If you go to the move tool, you can move it around, and it's not going to move the white because it's just right on that layer. Now what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to create another layer. But this time, instead of using this new icon, I'm going to show you a shortcut. So if you go Command-Shift-N, it does the same thing as clicking that new icon. So I can call this paint_02. Now, I don't need to have color. Color is just if you want to have specific colors or how the layer is going to be highlighted. So I can make it orange just so you can see what it does. And the mode, for now, just leave it to normal. Don't worry about that, and opacity 100. So you can see now, because I gave it a color, it actually highlights it. It's giving us a highlight of that orange. Sometimes you may find it handy, sometimes you may just not need it. It's there for you to use it when you need. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to change the color of my brush, and I'm going to paint blue in some other places like that. Just a little bit of blue. I'm going to create a new layer. And this time, to create a new layer, I'm going to show you another shortcut. So instead of Command Shift N, I'm going to go Command Option Shift N. Bit of a mouthful. And this time the difference is, I don't know if you've noticed, but it doesn't give you the new layer window. It just goes and creates a new layer automatically. And this is quite handy when you're drawing or when you're doing digital painting. That you're creating a lot of layers really quickly. This can be quite handy. So now I'm just going to paint again, and we've managed to create, probably I should rename it, so how do I rename it? Double click on it, correct. So I'm just going to go paint 03. Probably it'll be a good idea if I had these layers inside a group, because they're all pretty much a part of the same thing. So to keep them organized, because here in Photoshop it's quite easy to get loads of layers, all you need to do is you can select all of them. You just click one and then just shift click and drag. So click, shift click, and it grabs all of them. And then to group them, all you need to do is go Command G. As you go Command G, you can see that what happens is all the selected layers go inside a group, and that's called Group 1. I'm just going to double click to rename it the same way I've renamed my other layers. So just let's call it splatters. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit, and there you go. We can actually now click the triangle to expand the contents of that particular group of layers, and you can see I've got paint, paint 2, paint 3, and then you can turn all of them. The cool thing about having these in folders is that you can turn them on and off, all the layers, just in one click, right? Because they're all part of that group. So this is how you do it. If you want to delete something, you can click and drag and put it on the little bin icon, or alternatively you can just highlight and click delete. And the same thing applies for your layers. You can click here and delete. You can highlight all of them and hit delete, or if you don't remember and you don't like that, you can just need to click and drag on the bin, and then you'll be able to delete all those things. This is just super basics, so I hope you've enjoyed it, and join us to the next one. See you later.